What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Work to Wellness to Wealth podcast. TGIM, man. Thank God it's Monday. Man, I got a really exciting episode for you all today, and I have a very special guest that I'm going to bring out in a few minutes. And so we're going to have a discussion on this episode on helping you get your tax, getting prepared for tax season. It's upon us. It's January, and so you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can do to maximize, your tax returns, make sure that you're doing everything correctly. So we're going to take a deep dive into that today, and I'm real excited about that. As always, if you want to learn more about me and some of the things that I'm offering, please do visit my website at GerardAnderson.com. Let me put that on the screen for you real quick. So I have a Work to Wealth, the wellness community. So definitely, if you are interested in furthering your financial journey and getting your financial affairs in order and ultimately getting to a place of financial independence so you can live life on your own terms, definitely go to my website and take advantage of any of my free products on there. And that'll definitely put you on my list. And got a lot of great things to share with you to make sure that 2025 is a really, really good and prosperous year for you. So before I bring out my special guest, let me start with my financial disclaimer by telling you, me nor my guest, we're not financial advisors, although she is a tax professional. But the content of this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only, and it does not constitute financial advice. So your financial situation is unique. So please do your research and your own due diligence and consult with a qualified financial advisor who is aware of the particulars of your individual financial situation. So let me go ahead and bring out my guest. I'm going to let her tell you all about herself, but please help me welcome to the stage Miss Shamik Jackson. She is the founder and owner of Jackson Tax Preparation Services, and she's dedicated to providing expert tax preparation, planning, and advisory services. Miss Jackson, come on to the stage. How you doing today?
Hi, Gerard. Hello. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be a guest on your platform. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you are here. I try to bring my audience top-notch information, and that's why you're here, because you one of the best in the industry at what you do. And so there's just so many things that we don't know about taxes. I know a lot of people have a real hands-off approach to taxes, or maybe they just look at it from the standpoint of, oh, I want to get this refund so I can buy this car or whatever the case may be. So we're going to get into all of that on this episode, but let's start out a little bit. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey and how did you end up becoming a tax preparer, and what inspired you to get into this line of work?
Okay, well, I am once again. My name is Shamik Jackson, tax professional, founder of Jackson Tax Preparation Services. I reside in Dallas, Texas. I have my master's degree. My background is in social work.
All right,
Um,
shout out to all the social workers out there. We got a fellow social worker in the building here, and she has her own business too. We're going to get back to that, but excuse me, I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but but go ahead.
no, you are fine. You are fine. So, what led me into this career, like we just stated, being a social worker, I have a passion for helping people.
Yeah.
So honestly, it happened because I asked a question. I was going to get my taxes prepared, and I asked a question, and that question opened the door for the opportunity for me to become a tax professional. So my tax preparer at the time was basically like, well, you're already helping people, so you could just do it on the financial side. And I hadn't thought about that. And then my wheels got to turning. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I can merge social work with tax preparation and I could do it as a holistic type approach.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of really how I started in this industry. Is I just, I asked a question and it led to the door of opportunity, and I went for it. Mm-hmm.
Tell me again, what capacity were you working in as a social worker?
At the time, I was working in the capacity of director of programming. I
Okay.
was working with young youth. I was working with young adults or youth that had been impacted by the justice system.
Mm.
And they had a lot of questions. A lot of them, it was their first time having a job. They didn't know about taxes. So they were coming to me before I was even a tax professional. They were coming to me asking me questions about taxes because they would get paid and they would work a certain amount of hours, right? And then they'd be like, well, Miss Jackson, I work this amount of hours. Why am I only getting paid this much? And so like I said, I didn't even have the experience yet, but I know a little bit about, tax to let them know, like, hey, they take certain tax out of your paycheck and things of that nature. So I was working with them at the time.
Oh man, you said so many things there. I know we're gonna go all off script tonight, but it's a good. We're just gonna flow with it. But one thing that you said that was really important is just you didn't let your position box you into doing one thing. I love the fact that even though you was a social worker, you didn't think it robbery to think outside the box. It's like, oh well, maybe I can combine my social work with this as well. And I think a lot of times we as educators, we just box ourselves into whatever we got our degree in. And I think your story is just a shining example that we don't have to do that because we got so much more on the inside of us.
Yes.
The other thing that you said that made me think of something is that we really don't teach our kids about taxes. And I can imagine the shock on those teens or young adults when they're working and you seen like, okay, I worked this many hours and why is my check so much lower? So if you could just speak to what do you think we need to be sharing with our kids? I know we talk about, financial literacy, but specifically, should we and when should we start speaking to our kids about, taxes and FICA and MICA and all those other different things?
Right. I think you should start early. You can start with using like the basic foundational principles, even as early as I would say middle school, elementary school. You could introduce them to some foundational concepts, but definitely middle school, and because I believe that will help to prepare them when they do get their first job, or just if they get an allowance from their parents, or they they do yard work or do something on the side. Knowing how to manage their money is very important versus them getting paid or getting an allowance and just going to spend it. Like teaching our children what it really is. It's money, but money is actually a tool. And we need to teach our children how to use that tool to the best of their, so it gives them an advantage. Instead of looking at money as you get it and it's going out. This tool I have this money is coming in. How can I use this tool to put myself in a better position, even at a young age? I think it's a good thing to help them develop those habits.
Yeah.
So when they go off to college, or they go off, start careers and stuff, they'll have a good, strong foundation, and they'll learn early. They can start saving early. They can start investing early because they'll have some foundational knowledge and some foundational concept of what money is, and and how they should view it and how it should be utilized.
You speaking all my love languages now, man. But man, that is so true. And one of the reasons why I created or I decided to call this podcast the Work to Wellness to Wealth podcast is that, we've all been trained and programmed with the importance of working, but we never really talked about the purpose of it. And, a lot of people just go to work to get a paycheck to pay bills. But, the realization just came to me that in the midst of that, it's important to be well. So let's strategically, I know a lot of times work can be a source of stress, but strategically, how can you use your work to contribute to your wellness and your overall well-being? And don't just stop there.
Right.
How can work be a springboard to creating wealth as well? And so both of those, I believe, are vitally important to all of my working professionals. Work to be well and work to be wealthy. So,
yes.
Man, okay, you already got my juice going. So I'm a firm believer in just the power of stories, and a lot of times we can learn things through the experiences of others. So are there any particular stories or client experiences that you can share with us to just kind of further enhance our understanding of you, the work, and the importance of taxes?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. I'm glad you asked. I do have one. And I am starting to hear about this and see this a lot when it comes to the tax industry, as far as, when everyday people are coming to tax professionals, trusting them to prepare their taxes. So I had a client. I gained a new client because I was able to help her, assist her with her tax problem. So she went to a tax preparer that prepared her taxes, but in the process of preparing her taxes, this tax preparer actually gave the tax client credits that they were not eligible for. And in our industry, it's called tax fraud. He basically put fraudulent credits on her return. And so the young lady reached out to me, and she received a letter from the IRS, and she didn't understand it. And she was nervous about it. She brought it to me. I was able to sit down with her, explain the IRS letter that she received and what they were asking. And basically it was just letting her know that her return was being audited because the information on her return, it raised a red flag.
They can audit your returns.
They can audit your return. She received a letter for an audit. And so I was able to tell her that the person prepared her taxes. So first I asked her, did she have a business? Was she a business owner? Was she a self-employed contractor? Any of those things? And she's like, no, ma'am. The tax preparer put a business on her tax return, and she could not verify, that credit that was given. So the IRS was actually asking her, she was going to have to pay because this tax preparer that she went to put a business on her tax return, and she didn't own a business. She was a regular W-2 employee. So I had to go back and amend her return. I had to do a full correction, explanation of what happened. And the result of that, she was able to finally get her taxes because her taxes were held up. She wasn't going to be able to get her refund, and she was looking at, having to pay money back. But I was able to fix that, and she was able to get her return. And I explained to her what took place. And I told her she's now became my regular tax client. But I want to tell people it's very, very important when you're going to your tax preparer, make sure at the end, don't just sign your tax forms. Don't just sign it on the bottom line.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that. Didn't she have to look over it and sign it first?
She just signed it. And I hear that a lot. I get that a lot. A lot of tax clients, because they're trusting tax professionals to do their due diligence and to be, ethical. But some of the tax professionals I hear are not ethical. And that's just, it's sad to say, but that's the truth. And so she just trusted that she was preparing her taxes correctly. And so she just signed it. She
Wow.
didn't really review everything. She was like, I'm coming to you. You're the expert. So I'm trusting you. But she found out after I was able to sit down with her and review her tax return that was prepared. I was able to tell her, like, the tax person filed a fraudulent return. And the
Isn't
thing
that something?
is, it was a fraudulent return.
Wow.
Yes.
So that makes me think again of something that I said is that,
Mhm.
and we got to get out of this hands-off relationship with things that impact our lives. And I get it, things that you're not familiar with, that you don't understand, you just
Mhm.
want someone else to take care of it. But
Right.
as in that story, she could have gotten into a lot of trouble if
Yes.
she didn't have you to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this with that story in mind. So
Mhm.
for the person listening to this and just like, well, I don't know much or anything about
Mhm.
taxes, but
Mhm.
and I guess this would include me as well, but where
Mhm.
would you recommend someone go to get just a baseline understanding of taxes, to kind of
Mhm.
even understand the process and to know what I should be looking at
Mhm.
where my tax preparer is concerned? Like, where can we get that
Mhm.
basic level of knowledge at?
The IRS, I know the IRS.gov, their website is definitely full of knowledge. If you just want to like know the basic, you could literally start there. You could click in IRS, or you could type in a question. Chat GPT, AI is everywhere. You can literally type in a question there, and they could, can take you to sources or links that are credible, where you can go and find this information. Or if you want to even take a basic tax course yourself just for understanding, even if you don't want to, prepare taxes, just so you'll know the basics of maybe what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's
and and to understand what is supposed to take place when someone is preparing your tax return. Um, that would be my recommendation. And I also want to add a caveat to um, having your tax prepared by someone that's not ethical. Make sure that the person that prepares your taxes, at the bottom of the tax form, there's a signature line, and it usually has like the preparer's name, and it has like a number out beside it, like a P10 number. If that number is not, if that taxpayer's signature is not there, and they tell you to sign it, and their signature is not on there, that's a red flag. So those are kind of some things that you need to look for. In order to actually get paid by the IRS, I have to do CU training. I have to renew my P10, which is my prepared tax ID number,
okay.
that is only given by the IRS. And if that's not on that form, then more than likely that person is not a legitimate um, tax preparer. And like I said, even if they do have that number, you just want to make sure that you're asking questions. Don't it's You should be asking questions, like have them to explain to you, like, what is on my tax return. I review that with all of my clients, because I have clients. My business is primarily virtual,
Okay.
but I can speak with my clients, via Zoom. And when I'm preparing their tax return, when I send it to them for their electronic signature, they can see everything on there, but I still review it with them to let
That's
them know what is on their tax return so they understand.
That's
Mhm.
good. That understanding is so important. All right, I
Yes.
hope y'all are listening, taking notes, because Ms.
Mhm.
Jackson is dropping some serious nuggets on you that could save
Mhm.
you a lot of money and keep you potentially out of jail, based on what she's saying. So that's good. All
Yes.
right, so let's kind of shift gears. So we begin in
Okay.
2025. So we know,
Mhm.
it's going to be time to file taxes in the next few weeks. So what
Mhm.
are some of your top tips that you would give the common person, even me,
Mhm.
as we get ready to prepare our taxes?
Mhm.
And then even like, what are some things, maybe we should even be doing some things now to prepare for next year. So
Mhm.
what type of things would you recommend us do? And is there any way that you can guarantee that we'll always get a return? Like, I love big returns. Like, should I be looking forward to big returns? But talk about that too.
So first, so no, I'll speak to that first. Everyone does not always get a return. And it's based on, several factors. If you're, depends on what you make throughout the year. If you have enough taxes withheld, it just depends. A lot of people think, well, I'm getting my refund back, and they're thinking that they're getting like extra money. You're really not getting extra money back. You're getting the money back that you paid in throughout the year. So if you paid enough in, and you
Paid
at the
enough
end of the
in
year,
what? I just want to
federal taxes, like your
okay.
federal withholdings, if you paid enough into your federal withholdings, you may end up with a refund depending on your earnings. If you're a high income earner, and you paid enough in, you may break even. It just depends. If you are a high income earner, and you have dependents, your marital status, your filing status, all of that plays a part in the refund, you get receiving a refund or not. And so a lot of people, they think that it's automatic, or if they get back a low amount, they're wondering like, well, why is it this way? Why didn't I receive a refund? Or why? It all depends on your situation. It depends on what you do through the year, that determines what you'll get back or not.
So let me see if I'm understanding you right. So we
Mm-hmm.
really shouldn't want to get a big return because that means we've paid too much in taxes.
That's
Wow.
exactly right. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Um, Unless you have dependents and you fall within the income limits, because when you get to a certain income limit, even with those tax credits for the earned income tax credit and things like that, if you didn't pay enough taxes, federal withholding taxes, and you earned a certain amount, if you have dependents, the tax credit can potentially, boost your refund, as
Okay.
well. But like you said, if you get back a big refund at the end of the year, then more than likely, yes, you paid in a lot, in your federal withholding, you're just getting that back. So I know it's a lot of maximize the refund out here, and different things that you see on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. But the reality is what you really just said, Gerard. If you're getting back a huge refund, then that means you are spending a lot of money in federal taxes throughout the year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's use me as an example. So let's suppose
Mhm.
we file our taxes and we get this
Mhm.
ginormous refund.
Mhm.
With this understanding, what could I then do for this year to make
Mhm.
sure that I'm not overpaying in taxes
Mhm.
for for my next tax cycle? Or what can I do to make sure that I'm
Mhm.
not overpaying if I'm getting a big refund now?
Just look at your tax return. I would say look at your tax return and just kind of like compare, like last year or a year before. You can do that with your tax professional. They can look at you and see like what the projections are. Um, Also, the IRS, a lot of people don't know, they have a estimated on their website. It's the estimated withholding calculator. It kind of helps you, get an estimate about how close, how much you need to pay in federal withholding taxes, where you're not overpaying,
Mm-hmm.
but you're paying what you need to pay. So if you're not looking for a refund, you can at least break even or get some refund, somewhat of a refund back.
Okay.
So it really just depends on just paying attention to what you're doing, throughout the year, checking I would recommend going and checking on your withholdings like every maybe 3 to 6 months. Go to
Oh,
your HR department, or you can go online. Pay attention to your pay stubs. Pay attention to where it says like year to date, or what's coming out. Pay attention to what's on your pay stub, and that kind of gives you an indication as well too, is if I'm paying too much, because you can always adjust it. You don't always have to um, have a high withholding for the whole year. You may want to do it for 6 months at a time. You can play with it, but I definitely recommend that you keep an eye on your federal withholdings and just pay attention to what's coming out of your paycheck. I would do it quarterly. That would be my recommendation.
man, so we may need to do another session on that. If y'all would be interested in that, because you definitely piqued my interest. Just maybe going into the details a little bit more of how to look at your paycheck and see if you need to make some adjustments and what those options are. Oh
Yes.
man, Doc, you dropping some good information tonight. I'm learning a whole lot too, man. So this is another question that came to mind. So of course there are a lot of tools out there for people to prepare taxes for themselves. At what point do you think it's necessary to hire a personal tax preparer? When, like, how would you decide, okay, I should just go ahead and do this myself versus paying or investing in a tax preparer like yourself?
So I'm definitely not against it. And I understand, people use it because they, there's like they're saving money. They could do it for free. But what some people don't understand is, if you don't know the tax law, if you don't know the tax code, if you don't know about the tax credits and tax deductions, you could actually be leaving money on the table.
Ooh, we don't want to do that now.
Yes, like I would say if you have a simple W-2, no dependents, you don't, you're not a 1099 contractor or a small business owner, and it's pretty much cut and dry. You're not a homeowner. You don't have any medical expenses, any charitable contributions, things of that nature. If it's just a pretty simple W-2, then if you feel comfortable enough, if you think that you know that you have everything, and if you want to go that route, then that's totally fine. But when a tax professional, you definitely need, if you're married, if you have children, if you're a homeowner, if you're a small business owner, if you're a self-employed contractor, 1099, you definitely need to be speaking to a reputable, knowledgeable tax professional, because there's a lot of tax credits, especially if you're a business owner, tax deductions if you're a business owner, that you may be missing out on, that you're not aware of. And then on the flip side, if you're not, and you're married and have children, you could be missing out on like the child care, dependent care child credit. You may be eligible for that, but you don't know it. Your SALT taxes, your state and local taxes, like I said, mortgage interest deductions, educators. A lot of teachers don't know what they're, even though they don't work. Even though they don't own a business, they still qualify for certain deductions as an educator, like educator expenses. So things like that, depending on what you do, even if in a career, or if you, small business owner or self-employed contractor, I would definitely recommend you speak with a tax professional, so that you're not leaving money on the table and you're not missing out on those credits and deductions.
That's so good. That's so good. Now I got something I want you to go back and address, because you said something that was really key. The importance of having a business. I hear a lot of people sometimes complain about how much they have to pay in taxes. And then sometimes you hear really wealthy people, I won't call any names, who say that they don't pay any taxes. So could you talk about, is it really from a tax standpoint and taking advantage of tax deductions? And I'm talking to my educators out here now. Is it really that important to have a business? Like, what if a business isn't my thing? I hate paying all these taxes, but do I really need to have a business? It's so much extra work. Can you talk a little bit about that? How important is it to have a business, definitely from a tax advantage standpoint, and then maybe even some of the other benefits, because kind of you live in the best of both worlds. Like you have a business working, your position, but you're filing taxes and you see comparisons between people who do and maybe don't. So could you speak to that real quick?
Yeah, I'll just speak to my situation. Like you said, I still work a 9 to 5, and I'm a tax professional.
She's still working 9 to 5 now.
I still working 9 to 5.
Y'all catch
with
that.
With my job in itself, I'm a high income earner. I don't have dependents. So if I just had my job, by itself, I would probably have to pay more in taxes because I don't have anything to offset those federal withholdings. I don't have anything to offset it. I don't have any credits or that I could, I don't qualify for a lot of those credits, right? And so having a business actually helps to offset what my tax liability would be. It actually lowers my tax liability.
Listen what you're saying. I don't mean to interrupt you. Offset the liabilities. That's important. Offset the liabilities. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to make sure they're catching that.
But yes, I was able to see that. And I try to, when I'm talking with my clients, I ask them those questions like, hey, do you do anything at home? Do you have a hobby? Anything you're passionate about that that you're doing on the side or you would like to do? I said, because it can really be beneficial for you and really be an advantage for you when it comes to tax time. And a lot of people don't, a home-based business, I'll just give you an example of some of the deductions you can get. Home office deduction alone. If you have a home-based business, my business is home-based because I'm virtual. So I have a space that's dedicated only for my business in my home. I get to write off a portion of my rent for that space that I use. I get to write off a portion of my utilities, my cell phone, because it's a business phone. I get to write off a portion, I get to write off a portion of those things. My internet, because I use my laptop at home for business. So those things in itself would be very beneficial.
But man, that was so good. So we're gonna have to change our thinking, and we can't just continue like not comfortable. I don't have the time. You really have to learn how to play this money game. I mean, it really is a game, and it has rules to it.
Yeah.
And if you really want to position yourself to live life on a higher level, you're gonna have to learn the things that Ms. Jackson is talking about. And so I just really want to challenge my educators out there to take to heart, like if you don't have a business or you have a passion that you haven't really thought about monetizing yet, think about doing that, man. This would be the year. And I definitely wouldn't mind helping you do that. I have a couple of courses and programs to kind of help move you in that direction. So go to my website and check that out. But so important. So important. All right, Doc. I know we getting pretty fast on time, short on time here. So let me ask you this last question, and then tell us just where we can plug in with you and learn more. How can individuals use their tax returns to better their financial situation? So I know you and I have a common interest connection in both that we are financial. We are certified financial social work coaches, and the premise behind that is really going back to really understanding the past experiences, the thought process, the behaviors, the feelings, the emotions that influence your financial behaviors, i.e., how you make money, how you save money, how you spend money, how you borrow money, how you invest money. So all of that stuff plays into the decisions that you make and ultimately the type of lifestyle that you live. So when it comes to taxes and refunds, what can, before you go out there and buy that new car or that new iPhone or whatever, what's your best advice that, and I'm asking you to put your financial, social work hat on now, but for somebody who is getting a significant refund check, what would you tell them in terms of some potential ways to use that to better their financial situation?
I have this conversation with my clients often, especially the ones that are non-business owners. I primarily have business clients, but I do have, clients who, do not have businesses, single parents, people just trying to, make it every day. And I always, ask them the question. I was like, I'm not trying to be personal or pry, but what are your plans? What are your plans for, this tax refund that will help you get ahead? And so it usually leads us into the conversation, and I told them, I understand you worked hard all year for your money. Yes, I would definitely say splurge a little bit, but if you could put yourself ahead just a little bit, if you have car insurance, think about paying that maybe 3 months or 6 months up in advance. That takes that monthly expense away. That's a monthly expense that you do not have to worry about for 6 months. Like something, just simple as that. Or if you have certain subscriptions, if you're thinking about, starting a business, think about investing in yourself. Think about taking that class, put that money to the side to invest in your business, and get an ROI, return on your investment.
Come on now.
Down the road. And one more that I usually talk to them about is emergency funds. Like we have to plan. We don't want to be reactive. It's best to be proactive. When you're reactive, something happens, and then you're reacting to the situation that's is stressful. You're not thinking straight. It makes the situation much worse. But if you're planning, if you're being proactive, then you're like, you know what? Let me just put this money to the side because you don't know what's coming down the road. We pray nobody gets sick, nobody, gets in a car wreck and have to be out of work for an extended period of time, or someone lose their job or anything like that. But life happens. Life happens. So when life happens, you just kind of want to plan for those what ifs and give yourself a little cushion, at least a 6 months cushion. So if something, did happen, it won't totally wipe you out. And then, you have to start over. And then, it's a cycle. It'll be a never ending cycle. So that's really, I just talk to them. I just be realistic with them when I talk to them, like not trying to be, negative or a Debbie Downer. It's like life happens. This is real talk. I just want you to be okay. I want you to be good. So yes, go splurge a little bit. Go take yourself out to eat, do something for yourself. But also life insurance is another one I talked about. A lot of my clients, I don't sell life insurance, but I do ask them, like especially ones that have the small children. Like you can literally you can go get a life insurance. Like if something happens to you, what happens to your children? What, how would they be taken care of? Like those type of things. You could take a portion of your tax refund and pay your policy up for the whole year and you're covered. So I try to think about things that would really help people to just kind of, set them up and give them a financial boost or push confidence. But like, you know what? I can do this. And then when you look back, you'll be able to see like, I use my refund to better myself. I purchased this. I purchased, life insurance policy, or I paid for that LLC. I paid for that LLC to start the business. Those type things.
Man, that is so rich. And I tell some of the clients that I work with is you should enjoy today, but sometimes you have to delay the gratification for today to secure tomorrow, or maybe to even have a better tomorrow. And I have a quick story for even myself personally. I know we got a bonus on our jobs, and so I had on my vision board I was going to get a new iPhone, and I was like, oh, this is my money for my new iPhone here. So had enough, and it was in my my account, my discretionary account, my fund money account. But then I thought about it, and I was just like, man, I mean, I could get this phone now, but I could invest this money in a part of my business now, and it may not yield a return immediately, but if I can get that money working, then I can take that money and then at some other point go and get the iPhone. So I decided not to spend it. And what I did is I put it aside, and I looked at, based on my monthly business expenses, how much would I need for the whole year. And that money was actually close to what that would be. So I was just like, man, so I could just put this aside, have this to take care of business expenses for the year, and not take that money out of my regular monthly working income. So important with what you said, man. So important. So enjoy yourself, but we got to start planning for the future. I can't reiterate that enough. You got to plan for the future, because as you said, life does happen.
Yeah, it does.
Life does happen.
It does.
All right, Doc, we're going to get ready to wrap up. Before we do, number one, any last parting words that you would like to share to our listeners, young listeners, anybody? And then just tell us everything about where we can find you at. If someone is interested in maybe partaking of your services, or maybe if they even have questions or anything, where can we connect with you at?
Okay.
But parting words first. What's your last words?
My parting words is just plan tax season. Like you said, it'll be hitting in a couple of weeks. My biggest thing is make sure that you do not rush to file your taxes. It's very important that you have all documents, especially if you're an employee and you have, like, if you have multiple jobs and you have multiple W-2s from different companies. Just make sure that you take the time to get, gather all of your documents. If you had a life change, if you got married, if you had a baby, like start gathering all that type of documentation. If you purchased a home, those are lifestyle changes. Those are life changes. Just make sure that you're aware of those things, and that you're gathering the documents, and have those, ready to go. And if you're not sure, just reach out. You can reach out to me or whoever you work with to do your taxes, just to make sure that you have what you need, especially if you had a life change. That would be my recommendations. Like I said, just don't rush. Take your time, gather your documents, because rushing, not having all your documentation, that could also put you in line for an audit, like with the IRS, because everything that the employer has, if you worked multiple jobs, if they have that W-2, the IRS already knows that you worked there. And so if it doesn't match when it goes to their system, it could, they could look at it like something like you didn't report. It's called underreporting your income. And that could just cause a delay. It could just cause a delay in your receiving your refund. So that would just be my words of advice. Just take your time, gather all of your documents. If you're not sure what you need, reach out to a trusted tax professional, and then proceed with your tax filing. So that would be my words of wisdom. My services, I'm primarily virtual. I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want to meet with me in person, I do have that option available. However, my services are primarily virtual. I serve all clients in all 50 states. W-2 filers, if you're a student, if you're 1099 self-employed, or you're a small business owner, Those are the clients that I work with. You can find my information. You can find my information on my website. It's JacksonTaxPreparationServices.com. You can go there. You can book your consultation appointment, and we could, we could schedule a call, and we'll just go from there.
There you have it. Nothing left to be said. So, yeah, man, y'all make sure if you are looking for a tax preparer, man, good sister here, man, God-fearing woman too, man. We have some really powerful conversations, man. So she's operating in a level of wisdom and integrity.
Yes,
we got to support our Black-owned businesses as well. So I do encourage you. You see her website is up on the screen. So yeah, definitely reach out to her if you're in Jackson, in the Texas area. Go and holler at her. All right, Ms. Jackson. Thank you so much again for joining me on this episode. You are a wealth of knowledge and information. I learned a whole lot. And hopefully your listeners learned a lot too. Social media. Now, I know I'm taking a break from social media right now, but what's your social media handle in case somebody wants to follow you on?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. My social media handles for Instagram is _JTPS_. Facebook is just JacksonTaxPreparationServices.com. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. And it's just Shamik Jackson. So you can find me on those platforms and as well as Threads. On Threads, I'm Shamik Jackson as well.
All right, Ms. Jackson, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge. And we'll definitely have to have you back on sooner than later.
Of course. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right, y'all. There you have it, man. Another amazing episode. I learned so much. I hope you all took some notes. And just wanted to reiterate, man, number one, you got to plan for the future, but you got to learn the rules of this money game too. But you deserve the best, especially to my educators. I'm going to continue to speak to you all. You are worthy of the best. You are worthy of the money. Yeah, we are in it for the money because we're worthy of it. So take advantage of what you heard tonight. And like I said, please go to my website, and if you need help kind of getting started on your journey, you can schedule a free financial health assessment with me, and we're just going to kind of see where you are. And like we talked about tonight, just create a plan for where you want to go and the gap from where you are to where you're trying to get. And it's not going to happen in a day, but time is going to pass anyway, so you might as well make the most of time that you have today to set you up for a better tomorrow. All right. Hope you all got some value from this. So leave any comments or questions or anything. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you on next week's episode. Y'all have a good day. Later.